people don't want philosophical things on internet unless it's coming from Elon Musk or
Or
or Bill Gates or something like that, or Mukesh Bhai. Right? People want tactical things, so give them tactical things and it starts.
hello everyone, welcome to the 25th episode of Pepper Spotlight podcast. My name is Pawan Gochwani, and in this episode, we are going to have a conversation with a very interesting person who has some great choices of the content that he picks up while he's consuming. His idea about content creation and how he thinks about the quality of content is anytime more important than the quantity of the content that you create. We're talking to Sanket Shah, who is the CEO and co-founder of InVideo. It's a brilliant website if you struggle with video editing or templates for creating some content for social media. Go ahead, check their website out. We have also linked it in the description of this episode. In fact, Pepper Content has created a few templates on the platform, so we're also going to just put the link for that. Check out user video templates, and maybe you could create content that might resonate with other freelancers, other creators. But very excited for this conversation. You might find this conversation as two friends talking about a particular topic, and towards the end of the conversation, it gets really lighthearted. But if you have any questions that you want to ask Sanket about this whole conversation, please feel free to tweet him or get connected to him on LinkedIn, or you can just put down the comments here on the YouTube video as well. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, any of these different platforms, just please feel free to DM him or us directly on pepper_content, and we'll be happy to take any recommendations, suggestions, or questions that you have about this whole topic. This conversation was pre-recorded with Sanket, so you're going to listen to my conversation with him, which was pre-recorded over a Zoom call from here on. Thank you so much, Sanket, for giving us your time for this conversation. I think for a long time we have been trying to, get in touch with you to bring you on the show and ask you some very curious questions that we have about InVideo and what you think about the entire space. So thank you so much, first of all, for agreeing to being on this conversation.
Thanks, Pawan.
As creators and somebody who's into the content space, I know what InVideo does, but how would you really explain it to someone, let's say some of our listeners and viewers who are maybe not into the content or the creator ecosystem entirely? So how would you explain them what InVideo does? If you could start the conversation from there, that would be great.
Sure. So at this point of time, uh, if you want to create a video ad, a promo video, social media video, around anything, and you don't have video editing skills, InVideo is your go-to place to create it easily.
Got it. And these are all kinds of videos, right? You can get any templates for, let's say somebody wants to create memes out of it or brand videos, anything. Like what is the scope or categories that are available?
Correct. Look, we have 5,000 plus templates, and we get users from 190 plus countries. So it's very spread out, and most likely you'll find everything for the kind of use case, for the kind of purpose that you have. You should be able to find an appropriate template and get started. However, like over a long term, what we believe is that the future of video creation is in the browser across devices, collaborative and easy. And by easy, I mean you build a bunch of abstractions to make things easier so that it can be used by basic intermediate users. But we'll build more and more advanced features that allow people to create better and better content over a period of time.
Got it. How you are mentioning about it would become very collaborative and in your browser. It's something that, I tend to ask a lot of the guests on this show as to how do you really collaborate with different creators? Because, when you're creating a video, technically how this is going to be possible, I'm not yet sure, because as of now, I'll tell you, when we are working on a campaign or let's say even a graphic design, so it's really the conversation is happening over WhatsApp as to, okay, let's put this kind of text, it should be this manner of layout and all of those things. But how will this happen over tech? where, let's say there are 10, 20 people in a team, and we will be able to do this collaboratively over a platform or in the browser? How, because it's for somebody to visualize this, how will this look is what I would want to know from you.
Sure. So there are two parts of collaboration. Collaboration between a video creator and a video creator, and then a collaboration between a video creator and other parties. And if you create videos, so you know that it's a multi-member team sport. It's not a single member, right? So how does video creators collaborate together, right? Addressing that first. If you're creating a longer form of content, two video creators can be working on it together on a project, and we'll start giving a real-time experience for them. What should they do and how should they do? We believe it's very, very important, right? So basically someone's adjusting the music and cutting it depending on the sound waveform. The other person can be easily adding the lower thirds or subtitles, right? And on a longer video, usually you can also have a color grading artist who can start working on color grading, etc. The second part of collaboration here is pre-video making collaboration and post, right? So in the pre is where you have a design brief and where you have a core understanding, and then the first cut of the video comes out. During the first cut, you usually go back to the marketer or the content writer to say, hey, does it fit? And then there is post where you have to do it. So if today you are collaborating on video, most likely you are saying that, hey, the third second is not good, the fifth second is not good, the 15th second is not good. If you want to change the image or the video of a person, especially image, say you are, it's a thumbnail or it's the intro where you are using some basic motion graphics and you want to change the image, you would have to Slack or WhatsApp the video editor to do it. Whereas you should be very easily able to say that, hey, just change it and replace it and then move on. Right? So that is how we imagine this would work.
Yeah, because it's really difficult to, communicate this over WhatsApp or email.
Because,
or Slack.
Correct, because there's a dimension of time. And space in video. Yeah. Right? So there's space and time both.
Yeah. And then to understand that creative input also sometimes becomes difficult, because not always, let's say not just clients, sometimes within the team also to communicate a particular input is also has to be very precise and correct for the designer editor to understand. So those kind of challenges is what on a daily basis we face. So just wanted to understand how this will happen over tech.
Correct. And there are other parts to collaboration which are more underlying and they happen under the hood. Like you might not know it if you don't create videos, which is if a file is sent for you to preview, the file is being rendered. Yeah. And you will often hear that, hey, the file is rendering, please hold on, I'm going to send the rendered file, and they will upload it to a Google Drive or a WeTransfer or something like that where you start it, right? Essentially, however, it should work like Google Docs.
Yeah. And that rendering itself takes so much of time, and then sometimes
because it's dependent on your GPU. It's dependent on your computer's power. And in the cloud, you can actually rent that power.
Yeah.
So you can actually make your engine more powerful because you're allowing the user to rent that power. But again, it's a very technically challenging problem.
Yeah. No, I think this definitely will solve at least problem for us. And I'm sure a lot of agencies, organization will be really, really helped by this kind of a tool that will be accessible to them. I was listening to one of your other podcasts, and you were referring as InVideo is for videos what Canva is, let's say, for templates and design and something of that sort. How do you really see this metaphor or this reference to Canva? Is it exactly like that, or how is it different from Canva?
Probably the podcast was too old, and I was very naive then when I said that. But look, I think Canva is a different business. Figma is a different business. Notion is a different business. There are nuances and there are parallels that will draw. But I won't say that we are building a Canva for video or a Figma for video. I think the dynamics here are different, and those are the details that are different. So on a larger scale, you can always say that this Canva for video or this Figma for video. However, my opinion is that a Canva for video cannot be built. video creation is a very, very different ball game than graphic creation, unless you're just saying, templates moving. But if you look at it, videos can be segmented into different parts, and you can segment a video into different type of videos, and to allow creation of all those videos, and to create a rock solid content, is a slightly different skill set. So I think we'll carve our own part, which will be somewhere between uh, Figma and Canva, in the parallels, but again, it will be a different company.
Got it, got it. And you were mentioning that InVideo is accessible to 190 countries out there, and there are users and audience using the platform, downloading videos and everything from across the world. And what we hear on the internet today is that the video consumption is booming. Video is the next thing. How blogs and SEO was the initial wave of the internet for content. Now people are talking about video in general, like that. Give us some trends, or some data or insights about how is this video creation and consumption really happening at scale. What are people usually, what kind of templates are they using, how many videos are they creating, or any of these such trends that you have observed at within your users?
So look, what happens overall in the world is simple, right? There are specialists and then there are generalists. Basically, the smaller businesses are generalists, individuals, smaller teams, etc. All of them, right? And that is exactly how Canva worked. That is exactly how Wix works. That is exactly how Squarespace works. Basically, giving that power where you require an expert in the hands of a common person, right? So that is what essentially our job is, right? And there are complete parallels. So a large dropshipper will use a video editor to create video ads, and a small dropshipper will themselves create video ads, right? But again, across the board, right, the content consumption is definitely increasing. So we don't even dwell too much into that TAM, into those metrics, because we know the TAM is very large. And I think revenue of companies like Adobe, etc., tells us that it's a very, very large market. And basically, after that, we want to focus on our users and trying to make sure that certain things we make easier, certain things we make much better by challenging the status quo to deliver to that audience. So to be honest, we don't really dive into those stats, except for the fact that the answer is it depends on how people use it. But again, why people use it is to create content, digital content that is low to medium production value at this point of time.
Yeah. And I'm assuming big brands, small businesses, or even individual creators use InVideo. But how is it different? Like you were mentioning about businesses might use for video ads or Facebook ads or anything like that. But what are creators using InVideo for? Is it, let's say, for Reels, for their YouTube intros, outros? What are they really using for? Any such thing you can tell us?
Correct. So basically, we make it easier for them to actually go through every video trend that's in the world, and we make it easier to create that trend on video. They do create users for YouTube videos, but look, the straight answer is, in video there are multiple parts and there are multiple type of videos, right? And we today provide today we are better at creation of certain kind of content, right? And that is the content that people create. Now, why is it different, or where is it different, is InVideo to the core allows high quality flexibility for you to do whatever you want. So we are far more flexible to actually allow you to do whatever you really want to, which is have a pixel level control over color, animation, timing, Bezier curves and things like that. So basically that is where we are different. The use cases are also different. So a drop shipper will come to create a video ad. A social media team might use us for social media content. A vlogger will use us to create reels. But fundamentally, you are playing with time, some amount of graphics and music. And if you get those scores right, which is, and then media handling and precision. If you get those scores right, then actually you should be able to create any type of video in theory. However, we are very heavy on templates today, and templates are the best form of abstraction that we have at this point of time, but we are building our muscle to actually create several other abstractions.
Yeah, and these templates are created by some in-house members in InVideo, or they are like crowdsourced, generated by different creators, or how is it?
50% of the template come via a marketplace, and then 50% are created internally.
Got it. And now I've got fairly decent idea about InVideo and everything around it. I would want to know, before InVideo, I think you started WisfyBooks, and tell us about that, and from there, how InVideo started, and what was this whole journey like?
Correct. So that was 2012 or early 2013. I was studying at University of Michigan, and I ended up taking a course from the business school, and they asked us to read a book on pricing, right? And I thought that, and I tried to actually read the entire book before the next class, which was day after, and I realized that can we create a video of this book? And I started creating videos myself. And basically, I think that that is still a very legit idea of creating high quality videos of books, non-fiction books. And essentially, that is what led me to keep thinking that why is video creation so tough, and eventually how can we make it easier. And basically that did not work out. I had a $70,000 grant from University of Michigan. Things did not work out. I moved back to India to start a last company. After it got acquired, I thought that let's go back to the original thought process around what can be solved and how.
Got it. And what's the difference, like, let's say, in the ecosystem that I think the idea is sort of similar, right? Like what you were trying to do in 2012 and what you were trying to do when you started building InVideo now. What has changed in the ecosystem, according to you, between these few years?
Not really. That was converting non-fiction books into 10-minute video summaries. And this is empowering anyone to create videos. What has changed? I think web has become more powerful. In 2012. If I would have tried to solve this problem, I wouldn't be able to solve it. So web has become far more powerful to be able to solve it. Also, besides that, I think the consumption has been on rise overall with respect to content. However, I feel that in the future, quality of the content, and that's actually one of my most important learnings, is I don't think it's about the quantity of content. I think it's about quality of content. So basically what I'm saying is, instead of doing 15 podcasts with Sankets and Anirudhs of the world, you're probably better off doing one with Peter Thiel.
Yeah. Got it.
I mean, that's my worldview of things.
Yeah. And do you implement this thought process for InVideo's, let's say, marketing or content strategies, or no, it's separate, you separate it from your personal thought about it?
No, it's deeply actually rooted in our product strategy. Right? It's very, very deeply rooted in the product strategy. And that is why we want to build more advanced features. That is why we want to give more control to the users. Because I firmly believe that it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And the moment you focus on quality, everything that you use and add changes. And that is, forget marketing or something like that. That's actually where the company's headed anyway, which is to actually compete with an FCP and a Premiere Pro more than anything else. I mean, that's my firm belief.
Got it. And just like a parallel question to that, when you say that, the quality is more important than the quantity of content and in general like that. So do you also think that creators, and I'm asking this question more from the creators' point of view, should they also, focus on being present across platforms? Like, should a creator be on Reels also, on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever across, or over there also they should, sort of focus on few things rather than just doing what everyone is doing out there? What's
I
your
think
opinion about it?
I think every platform is very different. When you go on any platform, your thought process is very different. So the content created has to be very different. And if you're doing that, then you're deeply thinking about that platform. And the moment you go all across the place is when you start doing very generic things. So you have to be very specific around it. And again, these lessons are learned very hard way. For example, uh, at one point we had like 100 blogs and none ranked. Now we have 30 blogs and all are in top 20. Right? But it's also because the amount of time and money spent on writing an article is also very different. So for example, we'll write 1,000-word article and we'll think like that, right? Hey, write 1,000-word article, right? And then we'll write 1,000-word article and then pay 2,000 rupees for it or 1,500 bucks for it, and it's never going to rank, right? And then you write a 2,000-word article and you spend 25,000-30,000 rupees of your time, and it starts ranking because essentially what I think and how I feel about it at InVideo at least is that I'm sorry, there's something in my eye, but how I think about it is that content is an extension of the project. That's and you want to think about content as a product. So for example, when it comes to YouTube video, at least I and the person I work with obsess over the retention of that YouTube video, the dips of that YouTube video. Are we able to send that person to the next video or not? So how are we trying to connect? And again, I'm not saying we are there, but I'm saying that that's the philosophy that we do. And again, it comes from a lot of failures, right? But if you write something, it might as well be kick-ass, tactical, that people can take from and do. And such content, it can be YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, doesn't matter. It takes time and effort to create. And that performs. So is the problem statement I want to create content, or is the problem statement I want to get engagement? And I think that almost every time you'll get far more engagement if you have very high quality content.
No, that's really brilliant way that you put that up. And I think you were mentioning about this is something that you learn when you try it out and you do mistakes, and that's how you maybe learn from it. What are some things in your journey that you have tried, tested, maybe failed at in the past few years? It could be related to content, it could be related to
No, look, we started the company, to be honest, like I think to an extent we misread the market, and I'm glad that a lot of others are starting the business misreading the market. But that's one of the biggest learnings, that what you call video, why you call that video, and what does it really entail to, and what are the users, why are they a certain way. I think we have built a very high quality muscle there. Number two is content. Like, we believe that everyone will create content, but if you realize that not everyone can create good content, and they will start creating, but they will stop it because they will not get traction. So you start something, but you stop it because you stop getting traction. So how do you really solve that? And the third is, again, I think quality is far more important than quantity, like far more, by a mile more important. And I can almost bet now that if I write a blog on most topics, it will rank in probably first 2-3 months. Every blog that I've written always ranks, but again, it takes time. And you can't write it every day. Not because you don't have time, because you don't have depth.
How did you arrive at this point where now whatever you write and this process that you have understood of writing about depth or about taking time, what has changed from when you used to write like 100 blogs and now you're just doing 30 blogs? What has really changed in your creation process or in your thinking process while you're doing this?
So look, you pick up keywords. Okay, how I look at a blog now is how I look at a product. What is the job to be done for the user when you're writing a blog? And then most likely twice a month, I'll go read 4 or 5 blogs and then tell the team that this is not acceptable or this is wrong, right? So you go very, very specific about anything. Extremely, extremely specific, right? So basically, at times we have spent like $6,000-7,000 to write a 15 to 2,000 word article. $6,000-7,000.
Wow.
So that is like interviewing people, talking to them, understanding the metrics, ton of research that gives you statistics. So basically, to write such a piece would take 45 days with a team of one writer, one researcher to write it. And those blogs will always do well. Those blogs will always do well. So basically, if I'm writing a blog on, say, YouTube ideas, right? Then I would not write like, the lightest content that you do is you write a blog on 15 YouTube ideas. How I would do it now is I would say YouTube ideas for this personas, and then personas are gamers, podcasters, companies, content companies, tech companies, gyms, restaurants. So split it first. And then you click on restaurant and then you go down and we give you 10 YouTube ideas for restaurants.
Yeah.
So it's very different. And then you also say, how do you really go about it and do it? Right? So basically, if it doesn't give you a complete idea about how you should do it, then you might as well not.
Yeah.
No, again, it depends, right? So different type of content works at different places. So the SEO content that we write for third-party sites at times you can't have it of this quality.
Yeah. No, I think that's really, really important that every creator should just take a note of, and even brands and organizations, because it's really important that you write few great blogs that rank really well, rather than writing hundreds or 200,000 of blogs which are not really read by anyone or not getting.
By the way, none of our blogs were read. We actually deleted all those blogs. Deleted.
And did you like repurpose that content, or no? It's just like gone. Like, isn't it hard to like sometimes do that delete button? Like, let's say for example, if I'll create like a YouTube video which is 10 minutes, 15 minutes long, and I've worked a lot, but it's not working, and if I have to decide that I have to delete this, it's a very tough decision for me. How is it for you? Like when you were deciding to like delete these vlogs?
There's a one of the important things about economics is it talks about sunk cost, and you look at that as sunk cost. But by the way, going back to content, there's one more very important thing about content, right? Content needs to be tight. No bullshit. Like tight. Boom, 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 and that's it. Like no faff. I hate faff. So we remove all the faff. So if you're writing a blog, like I would always go back and say that please don't write sentences like, hey, YouTube is growing, everyone's watching YouTube. Like no one cares. To the point, tell me boom, 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 boom. Because people don't have attention spans.
Yeah.
By the way, that is what I had told Anirudh about this podcast as well. Like it should be laser sharp, tight. not for like, okay, tell me one thing, right? So when you're creating and I'm seeing some of this, right? So when you're creating a 38-minute episode, okay, and again, it's a healthy debate, and there's no right or wrong, right? So 40-minute episode, right? So Pawan and Sanket are competing with a 40-minute Netflix episode. That people don't watch, right? And look at the production value of this content. Now, if you get Bill Gates, sure. If you get Sanket, like, does anyone want to spend like 40 minutes listening to him or Pawan? Maybe not. So it needs to be like content needs to be tight, high quality, and then it starts working. And we have always seen it work, by the way. Like we started genuinely working on our YouTube channel 3 months back. Basically, we had like several things that we did. We did some YouTube experiments. One was exactly a podcast like this, right? And then eventually we decided to do something else around 3 months back. We became very consistent. We started producing high quality content. We are clocking close to 100,000 views a month on YouTube right now. Wow. All organic, 100% organic.
How did you guys do that? Like just asking out of curiosity.
It's very tight. It's very to the point. So you don't ask, I don't ask Pawan a question around how do I do good content. I go and say that, hey, today I'm going to tell you how to do keyword research, and there's no faff. And then again, keyword research is a bad idea, but it's a bad example, but you can talk about that. But and then we, like, in 5, 6, 7 minutes exactly tell you what to do step by step. So step one, do this. Step two, do this. Step three, do this. Step four, do this. And then we check the retention. I think, like, on most of the videos, we hit a 33-34% end of the video retention, which in my opinion is not bad, right?
Yeah.
So basically, we did a video on 8 most used cuts, right? But we'll go boom, this cut, this is how you do it. This cut, this is how you do it. This cut, this is how you do it. This is when you use it, and it's tactical. And actually, that's one another lesson. People don't want philosophical things on internet unless it's coming from Elon Musk or Bill Gates or something like that, or Mukesh Bhai. Right? People want tactical things, so give them tactical things, and it starts working.
Yeah, got it. I have two last questions for you, and I'm gonna put it like on point only. And this is more relevant to the whole ecosystem out there and what's happening in the internet right now. All of these platforms are coming up with their audio versions. Like Facebook is starting their audio rooms podcast feature. Spotify came up with Green Room. Clubhouse is doing an accelerator or grant program for India and all of that. What do you think is this form of content, audio as a form of content? Where do you see it going for the next few years?
I don't know. I've not thought about it.
And any opinion you have about, like, anything with respect? Do you enjoy consuming that? Have you been on any Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces or any of these rooms?
I have. I would say that I'm not a big fan. It can be fun for a few people, but I might not be the persona.
Got it. And do you listen to podcasts? What?
Depends on what podcast. So it depends on the quality of the content, right? So every night I'm walking my dog at 10:30, and then I'll most likely listen to something. It can be a podcast a lot of times, but I've listened to podcasts of Reforge, right? So I don't know if you have heard of Reforge, but that program, like, I listen to those podcasts, right? Because they're very insightful. Again, I think Reforge is very tactical, very tactical. Frameworks tactical, right? So I listen to that. So it depends on the kind of content. Will I listen to, again, it depends on the people and the type of content they're producing, and I would listen to that depending on those things, right? So for example, like, I mean, I don't watch any of Beer Biceps, but there was an episode, and I like to study about military and different countries' military and things like that. And there was an episode related to that, and I watched it, right? So it depends, but it also depends on, like, how much more can someone give on that topic, and how deep can someone really go on that topic. If someone can't go deep, then I don't enjoy it.
Got it. I had a different last question to ask you, but I'm going to chuck that and maybe just ask you, give us some Netflix recommendations or book recommendations that you consume, because I am getting that you are very picky with the content you consume or the movies or series that you watch. So I just want to know what do you really watch when you have free time, or what do you consume?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't consume a lot of Netflix. Usually, I keep watching Friends on repeat. I might be on Seinfeld and Friends. So I might be on my, like, fourth run of Friends and Seinfeld.
It is a little hard to digest for me when you say you are very picky and tactical about, let's say, content creation process.
Because that's not content, right? Because that's not content. But I think Our World is Beautiful on Netflix. So I watch that. But when I'm watching Netflix, I mean, it depends. I'm not. If I tell you, right, how I watch Netflix, then I usually finish a 2-hour movie in roughly 50 minutes by forwarding it. And I've watched all shows like that except Friends and Seinfeld. So I would just, and I've done that with Game of Thrones as well. So just about anything, I just keep forwarding it all the time.
The GOT fans are like just very feeling very, very hard right now.
Yeah, but look, I'm walking the talk, right? So I'm walking the talk. So I keep forwarding it, and I'm like, hey, like I was watching Family Man 2, and I was like, I don't want to listen to all this drama around what's happening in the house. Please tell me the story, and I move on and finish it. But with respect to books, I think I read a variety of things, and I like to read a lot. So last book that really, really had an effect on me was No Rules Rules. So I think a good book is when you take like huge. A good book is like a workbook that you keep going back to, or you keep taking a lot of things. So, for example, at InVideo now we socialize things, right? Basically, an idea is supposed to be socialized. Very, very important. I think we want to, and to a certain extent, we have started applying a keeper test where you know when to let people go. Not everything can be looked at it in that zone. The second book that I really keep going back to is Hard Thing About Hard Things. Right, I always keep going back to. But besides that, I've read like several books on Kashmir and Mossad and just things across. So, but again, I highly recommend that every entrepreneur should read Hard Thing About Hard Things and No Rules Rules. No Rules Rules, of course, Netflix, the culture and why they operate at a particular culture.
Yeah. Got it. Thank you so much, Sanket. I think this was a very, very interesting conversation. And I would love to meet you someday out there when this just opens up. We would be happy to host you at the Pepper office. On a more candid and what, let's say, a casual conversation rather than, let's say, a podcast where we could know more about which series you have forwarded and what kind of movies you have just like skipped through and asked people as to tell me in short what the story is. And I'll maybe tell you more about how I have watched Game of Thrones twice without forwarding. I have watched it like every episode again. Some of those episodes I keep going back, and I also thoroughly enjoy watching Friends sometimes. So let's do that over another candid conversation, maybe sometime when we host you at the office. But thank you so much for doing this conversation with us.
Thank you so much.
One interesting thing that I want to tell you all is that InVideo has more than 7 million users on their platform. There are different people who are using these templates from the platform and even creating these different templates. And most of the videos that you might have seen on the internet might have come somewhere from their platform. So if you haven't checked out InVideo yet, please go ahead. We want to share this with all of our listeners and viewers of the show. This could be like a very, very useful tool for all creators, freelancers, small business owners, entrepreneurs, anybody who wants to make video content. Feel free to check out the link in the description of this episode. I'm very, very sure you'll be happy creating content using their some video templates. But this was the 25th episode of our podcast, Pepper Spotlight. You can listen to this on any of the audio platforms. You can also watch it on YouTube. If you liked some part of this conversation, please go ahead, tell your friends about this, tweet about this, or share it on your Instagram story. Or if you have any suggestions, recommendations, please just feel free to send it our way. We are at @pepper_content. Always happy to take your suggestions and recommendations or any questions that you have. But we'll see you again next week. These episodes release on every Wednesday 3 p.m. So make sure you check out YouTube or any of the audio platforms that you listen to our show on. So thank you so much once again for supporting this show, and take care, stay safe, and stay indoors.